willing to institutions their mutual relations and compromise their several rights in the interest of collective action for the development. The former, the former are engaged in the securing global cooperation for people, prosperity and development, and the latter are trying to increase regional cooperation for development among their members. It is important to understand the impact of the process of a state. This trend has resulted into the several changes in the nature, functions, and of the role of the states. So now I am going to ask some question. Please say me how many continents in the world now? Who can say that? How many continents have in the world? Who can say how many continents? Anyone? Please say. 7 continents. Can you audible my voice? Please say. Can you audible my voice? Hello? Please say anyone. Have my voice is audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Voice started is very well.
हाँ sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I am asking a question to the student. How many continents of the world? Before we discuss about the international matter or international states, I want to say about the how many continents. There are 7 continents in the world. Yes, there are 7 continents in the world. The United Nations of Organization. Do you know United Nations of Organization? It is the leading world-class government. There are 194 countries are affiliated under the UNO. Note down, there are 194 countries are affiliated under the UNO. So every countries of the continents, they want to reorganize their boundaries and of nations, and they also changes their name, boundary, etc., because the create of a new nation states. So regional integration means the development of a piecemeal non-political cooperative organizations which are established most effectively at the regional level and in the economic, technical, scientific, social and cultural spheres. Regional integration कहले आमे बुझिबाकू पड़िथाउ जो गुड़ाक नॉन पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो माने इनडायरेक्टली डायरेक्टली पॉलिटिकल अफेयर सहित जड़ित नुहंती से माननकू नेकी रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन आमे क्रिएट करिसु जेमितिका अर्थनैतिक क्षेत्र रे वैषयिक क्षेत्र रे विज्ञान क्षेत्र रे सामाजिक क्षेत्र रे सांस्कृतिक परंपरा क्षेत्र रे से माने यूनाइटेड हेइछंती सेगुडा को आमे रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन बोली कहिथाउ. These sectors are functions sectors in which states can be developed mutually cooperative institutional relations without jeopardizing their national sovereignty. Mutual advantages are the basis of such regional functions. Organizations serve as the useful way of securing the desired goals of the development in these sectors. The growing integration in the modern period of history, which is the conceptualization and practical establishment of sovereign states that comprise the family of nations. The trend towards integration cooperation and regularization of international relation has taken on new form of the greater urgency. We are organized the regional integration due to our different beneficial activities like that economic, science, technology, cultural, custom, that's like it. Regional integration can also be described as interstate integration. It is an instrumentality of the modern multi-state system. In its most elementary form, the term denotes both of the act of cooperation among the states of the enhancing common purpose, institutions and the methods they employ to achieve these objectives. In other words, regional integration means the process towards and product of integration of nation states. It is the process by which group of nation states comes forward to establish institutionalized cooperation among themselves. The organized institutions or mechanisms that these nation states establish for the conducting their relations also form a part of regional integration. Such institutional mechanism offer to the vehicle of arriving at collaborative determination of policies and actions. Each integrated institutions among that in the individual members into the whole, regularize their interrelations and influences their international behavior by acknowledging and respecting the appropriate place of each unity of the whole system. The integral institution not only maintains stability but also the secure cooperation for the development. ତେଣୁ ଆଧୁନିକ ଯୁଗରେ ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ରିଜନାଲ ଇଣ୍ଟେଗ୍ରେସନ ର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ଆମେ ଏଥିପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁଛୁ ଯେ କି ଆମକୁ ଆର୍ଥିକ, ସାମାଜିକ, ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ ସହଯୋଗ ମିଳିବ ବା ସାରା ବିଶ୍ୱ ସହିତ ଯୋଗାଯୋଗ ହୋଇପାରିବ। Now I am going to different approaches to the integration. Different approaches of the integrations. First one is the federalistic view. The federalistic school of thought consists of integration in legal and institutional terms. It views integration as the end product rather than a process. It stands for a political union. It stands for a political union among a sovereign states. The supporters of World Federation belong to this school of thought. Federalist ମାନେ ଚାହାନ୍ତି ଯେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ sovereign state ବା ସାର୍ବଭୌମତ୍ୱ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ହେଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ସଂଗଠନ ରହିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ଯାହାକି ତାଙ୍କ ଫ୍ୟୁଚର ତାଙ୍କ ଦେଶ ପାଇଁ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟରେ ଲାଗିବ। Number 2, the communication model of regional integration. The communication model of regional integration. Communication theorists like Carl W. Dutch conceptualized integration as the process of flow of international transnational which eventually can and will lead to the development, security communities or an integral socio-political system. Carl W. Dutchଙ୍କ ମତରେ ଯେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଗୁଡ଼ିକ socio-political ସାମାଜିକ ରାଜନୈତିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ପରସ୍ପର ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଏକତ୍ରିତ ରହିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ବୋଲି ତାଙ୍କ ମତ ସେ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି। Number 3 ରେ the new functionalist view of regional integration. The new functionalist view of regional integration. The third school of thought is represented by the new functionalist. They view integration as both a process and an outcome. They prefer emphasize cooperative decision making process, the hallmark of integration. Next, impact of regional integration on a state. Impact or effect on the regional integration on a state. First one is the effect on the nature and functions of the state. Before going into the question of effect of regional integration on the nature and functions of this state, it is important to understand how a region is formed, integrated. Palmer and Perkins defines region as invariably an area embracing the territories of the more states. These states are bound together by ties of common interest as well as of geography. They are not necessarily contiguous or even in the same continent. A region in international relations is not essential a geographic area or unity. A region may be conceptualized in terms of area or a military group or a political group, in economic grouping or a transitional unity. This concept of organizing states of an area or state with similar needs or which common perceptions of regarding to the issue of problems or goals. Next, effect on the sovereignty and the regional obligation. Effect on sovereignty and regional obligation. गोटे राष्ट्रर सार्वभौमत्व क्षमता रही सार्वभौमत्व क्षमता थिबा जुगु राष्ट्रटी आभ्यंतर क्षेत्र में और बाह्य क्षेत्र में निजक शक्तिशाली बोली सुपर पावर बोली मन करिथाय जेतेबेले अन्य राष्ट्रगुड़िक से राष्ट्रर आभ्यंतर क्षेत्र हस्तक्षेप करती सेतेबेले सार्वभौमत्व उपरे दाग लगी थाए तेणु एठी किंतु सार्वभौमत्व किछि नष्ट होई न थाए रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन क्षेत्र में प्रत्येक देशर सार्वभौमत्व सुरक्षित थाए बट दे आर यूनाइटेड फॉर देयर स्पेसिफिक गेम्स और पर्पजेस. Now effect on sovereignty and regional obligations. It is the commonplace today to hear politicians say that they do not control many of the factors which determine the fate of a nation state. It is international forces, it is often said, which limit the choice facing a state or make it impossible for a particular national policy to be pursued. Leaving aside for the moment the accuracy of such claims, it is useful to keep in mind a decision introduced earlier between the de jure and de facto sovereignty, or we can say between the sovereignty and the autonomy. This distinction is sometimes made in order to separate the problem facing a state due to loss of aspect of legal sovereignty from the problem which stems from a loss of political and economic autonomy. We shall examine to how far the regional integration and obligation arising out of the such arrangement has eroded the sovereignty as understood in legal sense of the lost autonomy. आंतर्जातीय क्षेत्र में आंचलिक अनुष्ठान गुड़िक सहयोग माध्यम प्रत्येक राष्ट्र निज निजर सार्वभौम क्षमता हरेबार भय न थाए बरं परस्पर राष्ट्र मध्य बंधुत्वर स्वप्न देखा मिली थाए। विथ द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ अ ग्लोबल सिस्टम ऑफ स्टेट characterized by the existence of the hegemonic power and power blocks, the origin of a number regional organisms have sometimes operated to undercut the state's authority and integrity. The dominance of the USA and USSR as world powers and the operation of alliances like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO and the Warsaw Pact clearly constrained decision making for many nations. State capacity to initiate particular foreign policies, pursue certain strategic concerns, choose between alternative military technologies and control certain weapon systems located in its own territory. To illustrate this point, take an example of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO. The NATO concern with the collective security has drawn for a fine line between, on the one hand, maintaining organization of a sovereign states, which permits in principle an individual member state not to act in the judges disappropriate, that are the sovereign state, and on the other, developing an international organization which de jure and de facto, if not de jure operates according to its own logic and decision making procedures. The sovereignty of a national state is necessary and diversity qualified ones of the committed to a regional organizations. You know that about the NATO. पृथ्वी पावर ब्लॉक मीन्स आफ्टर द कोल्ड वार, द्वितीय विश्व युद्ध पर शीतल युद्ध आरंभ होता। शीतल युद्ध दुई देश मध्य होता, गोटे पटे थिले यूएसए, अन्य पटे थिले यूएसएसआर। ताकू पावर ब्लॉक बोली कहुए। से पावर कॉरिडोर मध्य थाई कि दुई देश मध्य उत्तेजना, पॉलिटिकल उत्तेजना देखा जाए, ताकू आम कोल्ड वार बोली कही थाउ। वार तो वार सम्मुख युद्ध हुए, ताकू वार कह जाए। किंतु शीतल युद्ध कौन शीतल ना बरफ युद्ध नो। कोल्ड वार मीन्स उभय देश परस्पर मध्य राजनैतिक उत्तेजना सृष्टि करती, प्रति मुहूर्त युद्धर भय तैयारी करती, पृथ्वी में राजनैतिक अस्थिरता सृष्टि करती एवं निज निज मध्य मिलिटारी संगठन तैयारी करती। एग्जांपल नाटो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जहाँ यूरोपियन एंड अमेरिकन कंट्रीज मानक नहीं गठित होती। तार एग्नेस्ट मध्य रूसिया सेटू गठन करी, सी यूरोपियन एंड एशियन कंट्रीज मानक नहीं सी गोटे वार्सपाक्ट चुक्ति गठन करी। तेणु ये दुईटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन परस्पर को राजनैतिक टेंशन माध्यम शीतल युद्ध सृष्टि करि थांती। तेणु आम जो रिजनल इंटीग्रेशन कथा कहूचे, से अमेरिका और तार पावर ब्लॉक पावर कॉरिडोर को लेकिन सी तार गोष्ठी सृष्टि करुच्ची। अन्यपटे रूसिया मध्य सी तार गोष्ठी सृष्टि करुच्ची, जहाँ तृतीय विश्व युद्ध को तैयारी करिबारे रास्ता खोली दउचंती। तेणु आम से विषय में आलोचना हबार नहीं, जेहेतु आम इंटीग्रेटेड यूनिटी अच्छी रिजनल इंटीग्रेशन अच्छी। तो प्रत्येक राष्ट्र से चाहती जे से केमिति अर्थ रोजगार करेंगे, व्यापार वाणिज्य करेंगे और मिलिटारी क्षेत्र हो से अधिक धनी हे। तेणु से बाध्य हुई बाय द फोर्स ऑफ नॉट ओब्लिगेटरी से बाध्य बसकता होगी कौन देश को समर्थन कर आइदर रूसिया और अमेरिका। आप जानते भारत क्या समर्थन करी ରୁଷିଆ को ना अमेरिका को भारत तार फॉरेन पॉलिसी बजाय रखी ना रूसिया ना अमेरिका से क्या समर्थन करे ना जोटा करेक्ट ता ही करें सो केतबेले अमेरिका भारतर बंधु तो केतबेले रूसिया भारतर बंधु बर्तमान अमेरिका भारतर शत्रु हो जाती रूसिया भारतर बंधु हो जाती तेणु भारत केवे तो फॉरेन पॉलिसी को चेंज करे सी भारत स्थिर रहे जे आमको साहाय्य कला सी आमर बंधु से भाया प्रत्येक राष्ट्र से गोटे गोटे संगठन माध्यम निजक सुरक्षित करने से चेष्टा करता तेणु आइदर रूसिया सपोर्टर हो और अमेरिका सपोर्टर हो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज मॉडल्स ऑफ रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन models of regional integration first one integration of western Europe the European Union सुनित भाई यूरोपियन यूनियन एटा गोटे बणिक संघ यूरोपियन राष्ट्र मान नहीं गठित होती ता विषय किसी कहूँ जे यही संघ माध्यम आम कौन बेनिफिट पाऊे The concept of integration has been very successful and faithful tied to the Western Europe through organized, institutionalized, and systematic cooperations and coordinations of their economic and industrial policies and decisions. The states of Western Europe have been successful not only in making good the heavy losses they suffered between 1914 to 1945 because the period was the First World War and Second World War. But it also has been successful in the developing their economics in a big way. The first European integration of particularly the economic integration of Western European states offer a worth emulating model for the rest of the world. यूरोपियन यूनियन तैयारी है एवं ये आहरी केते संघ तैयारी कारण थिला कौन पृथ्वीर नील आकाश रे हठात कला बादल घेरी आसी 1914 रे प्रथम विश्वयुद्ध देखा जाइतिला यूरोपियन कंट्री मानक यूरोपियन कंट्री माने सर्वदा युद्ध लिप्त थिले शेष में 1914 रु 1918 मसीहा मध्य प्रथम विश्वयुद्ध देखा मिलता तार अल्प किसी दिन भितर पुणी आउ एक विश्वयुद्ध देखा मिलता 1939 1945 यही दुईटी महायुद्ध रे विशेषकर यूरोपियन मानकर बहुत क्षति घटी आर्थिक मेरुदंड भांगी जाइतिला इंग्लैंड तो पूरा देवालिया होइतिला से अमेरिका टू लोन आनी 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 से पूरा देवालिया हो जाइतिला से भाया बहुत देश लोन रही युद्ध कर लोन हो गले आर्थिक मेरुदंड भांगी गला तेणु से सबू लॉस पावर लॉस हो गले तेणु गोटे पटे रहीगले केवल अमेरिका जे कि युद्ध रे से भाग नहीं ना पछरे नेला अन्य पटे थिला रूसिया से यूनिफिकेशन करके एक शक्तिशाली हो जाइतिला ओके तेणु से यूरोपियन यूनियन गठन माध्यम एक वाणिज्य संघ माध्यम ये देश गुड़िक पुणी अर्थ फेरी पाइले पॉइंट टू पॉलिटिकल इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न यूरोप गोटे गला यूनियन यूरोप आउ गोटे गला पॉलिटिकल इंटीग्रेशंस द पावर वैक्यूम दैट रिजल्टेड इन यूरोप as a result of the heavy power losses sophisticated by all the states of the continent made it imperative for the leaders of the European states to think in terms of political integration of Europe as an effective remedy against the attempt that to the USSR and USA had initiated for extending their respective spheres of the influence in the former nerve center in international relations. The success of the Soviet Union in converting the Eastern Europe states to society system playing the second field to the USSR made the Western European states more conscious of the need to secure their indicates through voluntary and equally shared political integrations. Number 3 point is the Council of Europe. the Council of Europe. After the prolonged discussion among the statesmen of the Brussels power, it was agreed to establish a Council for Europe as the intergovernmental organization designed for the coordinating the principle of member states. In March 1949, a conference of representatives of 10 nations. How many nations? There are 10 nations are united. That's like Brussels powers plus Denmark, Ireland, Italy, Norway, Sweden, etc. as held at the definite the Statute of the Council of Europe. On 5th May 1949, these 10 nations signed the statute and founded the Council of Europe. Later on, in 1950, Turkey and Greece. In 1951, Ireland and West Germany. In 1956, Australia. In 1961, Cyprus became the member of this council and made it a comprehensive representative body of the Western Europe states. The purpose and objectives of the council, এই जो काउंसिल परिषद गठन कले तार मुख्य उद्देश्य थिला और लक्ष्य थिला कि द काउंसिल मेड इट abundantly clear that matters relating to defense did not fall within the scope of the council, and its main purpose was to achieve a greater unity between the member of the purpose of significance and realizing the ideas and principles which are their common heritage and facilitating their economic and social progress. This aim should be pursued through the organs of the council by the discussing the question of common concern and by agreements and common action in economic, social, cultural, scientific common concern. Again, economic, social, cultural, scientific, legal and administrative matters and the maintenance of the further realization of human rights. जो प्रथमे 10टी राष्ट्र मिसिकी गोटे काउंसिल गठन करथिले, वेस्टर्न काउंसिल गठन करथिले, तापरे आउरी 4-5टी राष्ट्र पछरे मिसिगला पर सेमानकर जो लक्ष्य उद्देश्य थिला कहा ऊपर थिला ना डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ सोशल, कल्चरल, साइंटिफिक, लीगल एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मैटर. ये विषय से जो वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन माने या को अधिक गुरुत्व देथिले एही काउंसिल माध्यम रे. नेक्स्ट नंबर, सिक्योरिटी और मिलिटरी इंटीग्रेशन फॉर वेस्टर्न यूरोप. प्रत्येक राष्ट्र निरापत्ता पाई मिलिटरी आवश्यकता अछि. से दृष्टि वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन माने मध्य मिलिटरी इंटीग्रेशन तैयारी करथिले. फर्स्ट, with a view to lessen their independence upon the USA for the defense needs, the West European states decided to have several formal security arrangements or organizations. Important among them were a Dunkirk Treaty 1947. Remember it? The Western European countries are associated in 1947. The treaty name is the Dunkirk Treaty. Then the Brussels Treaty 1948. The North Atlantic Treaty by NATO Treaty 1949. The European Defence Community Treaty 1952. The Western European Union 1955. Hello. All these bodies were engaged in promoting the concept of defense and the Western Europe. पश्चिम यूरोप रे थिबा देश गुडी को सेमान एकत्रित होई निज देश को निरापत्ता देबा पई ସେମାନେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଚୁକ୍ତି ଗୁଡ଼ାକ କରିଥିଲେ। ସେହି ଚୁକ୍ତି ମଧ୍ୟରୁ ହେଉଛି 1947 ମସିହାର ଡଙ୍କ୍ରିକ୍ ଚୁକ୍ତି, 1948 ମସିହାର ବ୍ରୁସେଲ୍ସ ଚୁକ୍ତି, 1949 ମସିହାରେ ନାଟୋ ଚୁକ୍ତି, 1992 ମସିହାରେ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ ଡିଫେନ୍ସ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଚୁକ୍ତି ଏବଂ 1955 ମସିହାରେ ୱେଷ୍ଟର୍ଣ୍ଣ ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ୟୁନିୟନ ଚୁକ୍ତି ସେମାନେ କରିଥିଲେ। କାରଣ ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା ନିଜ ଦେଶକୁ ସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି ଆଣ୍ଡ ମିଲିଟାରୀରେ ପରିଣତ କରିବା ପାଇଁ। ନେକ୍ସଟ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଇଜ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ୱେଷ୍ଟର୍ଣ୍ଣ ୟୁରୋପ। ପଶ୍ଚିମ ୟୁରୋପର ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗୁଡ଼ିକ କେମିତି ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ ସୁସ୍ଥ ହେବା ପାଇଁ ସେ କ'ଣ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥା କରିଥିଲେ? The most spectacular and successful post-war development has been the economic integration of Western Europe. Through several well-organized economic institutions, the Western European states have been very successful in coordinating their economic development needs and programs. The following institutions have largely helped the Western European nations to stage rapid economic recovery and development. ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହୋଇଯାଇଥିବା ଟଙ୍କା ଗୁଡ଼ାକୁ ଫେରି ପାଇବା ପାଇଁ, ଯୁଦ୍ଧରେ ସମାପ୍ତ ହୋଇଯାଇଥିବା ତାଙ୍କର ଯେଉଁ ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ବା ମାଇନ୍ସ ଏସବୁ ନଷ୍ଟ ହୋଇଯାଇଥିଲା ତାକୁ ଫେରି ପାଇବା ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ ଚୁକ୍ତି ସବୁ କରିଥିଲେ। ସେଥିମଧ୍ୟରୁ ହେଉଛି ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ କୋଅପରେସନ୍। European economic cooperation was basically engaged in the promoting consultations between the countries concerned that consider measures and create the machinery necessary for the European economic cooperation. ହେଲା ତାଙ୍କର ଯେଉଁ ହଜିଯାଇଥିବା ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟରୀ ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକୁ ପୁଣି ବଞ୍ଚାଇବା ପାଇଁ ଏ ଚିଠିର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ରହିଥିଲା। ତାପରେ the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development was assigned three main functions. तीनटा उद्देश्य नहीं कि इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एंड डेवलपमेंट जो एसोसिएशन से गठन करथिला। प्रथम थिला टू अचीव द हाईएस्ट सस्टेनेबल इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ एंड एम्प्लॉयमेंट and rising standard of living in member countries. It is a very important point of that countries. I am repeating again, to achieve the highest sustainable economic growth and employment and rising standard of living in member countries. Number two, to contribute to sound economic expansions in non-member countries in the process of economic development in member nations. Number three, to work for the expansion of world trade. The Benelux has been a very useful instrument of the economic integration of the Benelux countries. Benelux, B ହେଲା ବେଲଜିୟମ, N ହେଲା ନେଦରଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ, L ହେଲା ଲକ୍ଜମବର୍ଗ। ବେଲଜିୟମ, ନେଦରଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ, ଲକ୍ଜମବର୍ଗ ତିନିଟା ଦେଶ ମିଶିକି ଗୋଟେ ତିଆରି କଲେ association that name is the ବେନୁଲକ୍ସ ତିଆରି ସେମାନେ କଲେ। ଏହି ସବୁ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନେଇକି ସେମାନେ ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ତିଆରି କରିଥିଲେ। The European Coal and Steel Community, the European Economic Committee, or the European Common Market, European Atomic Energy Committee. This type of a committee they will create for their sustainable development of economic and industries. They are group their industries and level of the economic conditions. Now I am going to another point, integration of Middle East of the Arab countries, the Arab League. ये गला western part of Europe, eastern part of Europe. Now I am going to the Arabian League, the Middle East part of the Arabian countries. You see, The Arab League can be described as the most comprehensive non-Western regional integration. It was formed in March 1945 when Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Yemen ହେଲା ମନେ ରହିଲା ଆରବିଆନ୍ ଲିଗ୍ କୋଉମାନେ ହେଇଥିଲେ 1945 ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚରେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଆସୋସିଏସନ୍ କରିଥିଲେ that is which countries are part in this association Egypt Iraq Jordan Lebanon Saudi Arabia Syria and the Yemen they are the signed in the part in the creation later on ତାପରେ ଆଉ ପୁଣି ଆସିଲେ କେତେ ଆସିଲେ Algeria Kuwait Libya Morocco Sudan and Tunisia also joined it. So many countries of Southeast Asia they are form a committee for development. Primary objective of the Arab League. The Arab League as stated in the Pact of League of Arab States, the strengthening of relation between the member states, the coordination of their policies in order to achieve cooperation among them to the safeguard their independence and sovereignty. ନିଜ ଦେଶର ସାର୍ବଭୌମତ୍ୱ ବଜାୟ ରଖିବା ନିଜ ଦେଶର କୋଅପରେସନ୍ କୋଅର୍ଡିନେସନ୍ ସହଯୋଗ ସହଭାଗିତାକୁ ବଜାୟ ରଖିବା achievement of cooperation among the land ନିଜ ମାତୃଭୂମିକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ଏହି ଆରବିଆନ୍ ଲିଗ୍ ସବୁ ଥିବା ଦେଶଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଏକତ୍ରିତ ହୋଇଥିଲେ The Arab League since in the inspection has been playing an important role in shaping and guiding the political, social, economic and cultural relations among the members as well as between the and other states of the world. Arabian League successful association successful other countries are joined in this league. It has secured the conclusion of several important economic, trade and cultural cooperations agreements among the member states. It has been playing an important role in securing the unity of the Arabs. It shows its unity in the time of USA attack to Libya in 1986. However, till today, it has been successful in achieving fully forced objective of unify the Arab world and nonetheless in the remains in it was acknowledged case of regional integrations. Arab League रे join କରିଥିବା ସମସ୍ତ ଦେଶଗୁଡ଼ିକ 1945 ରେ ସେଇ 1945 ରୁ 2025 there is a too far away among the good relationship between these countries. Now Asian countries are make violence every year, every month and every day. The war between the Iraq, Iran, Israel and India, Pakistan, there is so many violence created in that part of the Asia. Okay, there is no working of Arab League nations. Next, I am going to the African Union. Africa. Now we go to the Africa. You know about the Africa? Africa is a very poor country. The organization of African unity is by far the most important and the most comprehensive example of regional integration in Africa. Its charter was adopted at the Addis Ababa conference of the head of the state and foreign ministers 30 African states in May 1963, originally in membership of 32, but today the strength stands increased to nearly double. African ଦେଶଗୁଡ଼ିକ 1963 ମସିହାରେ 1962 ମସିହା ସୁଦ୍ଧା ସେମାନେ ସବୁ ଫ୍ରି ହେଇଗଲେ ଫରେନ୍ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିରୁ ତାଙ୍କର ଫ୍ରିଡମ୍ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମିଳିଗଲା ଆଜାଦ ହେଇଗଲେ ସୋ 1963 ରେ ମେ ମାସ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଆଦିସ୍ ଆବାବାରେ ହେଲା ଇଥିଓପିଆର ଯେଉଁ ଆଦିସ୍ ଆବାବା କ୍ୟାପିଟାଲ ସେଠି ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ କନଫରେନ୍ସ କରିଥିଲେ ସେଥିରେ 32 members are joined. Now ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତାହା ପାଖାପାଖି 60 members are joined in this conference ହେଲା ତେଣୁ ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ ମାନେ ବା ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ ୟୁନିୟନରେ ଯେଉଁ ଯୋଗ ଦେଇଥିବା ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର ଅବଜେକ୍ଟିଭ ଏମ୍ସ କ'ଣ ଥିଲା? The Organization of African Union Charter states that the purpose of the organization are inter alia. Main purpose is inter alia, to promote the unity and solidarity of the African states and to defend their sovereignty, their territorial integrity and interdependence. In order to achieve this purpose, the charter calls upon the member states to coordinate and harmonize their policies. Eradication of all the forms of colonialism from Africa and the promotion of international cooperation with due regard for the UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are the other objectives of these organizations. 1948 ମସିହାରେ ମିଳିତ ଜାତିସଂଘ ଦ୍ୱାରା ସାର୍ବଜନୀନ ମାନବିକ ଅଧିକାର ଘୋଷଣାନାମା ଡିସେମ୍ବର 10 ତାରିଖ 1948 ମସିହାରେ ଏହା ପ୍ରକାଶ ପାଇଥିଲା। ୟୁନିଭର୍ସାଲ ଡିକ୍ଲାରେସନ ଫର ହ୍ୟୁମାନ ରାଇଟ୍ସ ପାଇଥିଲା। ତ ବିଶେଷ କରି ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ମାନେ ବା ସେଥିରେ ବହୁତ ପାର୍ଥକ୍ୟ ରହିଥିଲା। ଗୋରା କଳା ମଧ୍ୟ ବହୁତ ପାର୍ଥକ୍ୟ ଥିଲା, ଯେଉଁଟାକି ଆମେ ବହିରେ ପଢ଼ିଛୁ ଅଲରେଡି। ଇଂରେଜ ମାନେ ଥିଲାବେଳେ କଳାମାନଙ୍କୁ କେମିତି ସେମାନେ ଅତି ଛୋଟ ନଜର ଦେଖୁଥିଲେ। ସୋ ମାନବିକ ଅଧିକାର ଘୋଷଣା ବା ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା ହେବା ପରେ ଆଫ୍ରିକାରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ତାହା ପ୍ରକାଶ ପାଇଲା। ସୋ ଆଫ୍ରିକୀୟ ଲୋକମାନେ ନିଜର ମାନବିକତା ସେ ଫେରି ପାଇଲେ ବା ମାନବିକ ଅଧିକାର ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ନିଜର ଯେଉଁ ଆତ୍ମସମ୍ମାନ, ଡିଗ୍ନିଟି, ଏସବୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମିଳିପାରିଥିଲା। ତାପରେ ଯିବି ଆମେରିକା ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ, ଆମେରିକା ଗ୍ରୁପକୁ। ଆମେରିକା ଯିବା। ଆମେରିକାରେ ଲୋକମାନେ ଯେଉଁ ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଆମେରିକାନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ, ଦ ନେମ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଆମେରିକାନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ, UAS। ରିମେମ୍ବର ଇଟ୍, UAS। U ହେଲା ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍, A ହେଲା ଆମେରିକାନ, S ହେଲା ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ, ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଆମେରିକାନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ। So what is the purpose and objective of regional integrity of American states? Now I explain that the Organization of American States deserves the special attention for three basic reasons. There are three basic reasons of this integration. First one is the oldest and the one of the largest example of regional integration in extensive existence. First one is the oldest and one of the largest example of regional integration in existence. Second one is its structure is confederal and not supranational. Third one is the system has been developing and changing in accordance with the change in time. ତିନୋଟି ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନେଇକି ଆମେରିକା ସଂଗଠନ ତିଆରି କରିଥିଲା। The origin is the Organization of American States can be traced back to 1889 when the first Pan-American Conference was held. 1889 the Pan-American Conference was held. Since then, through gradual change, the US has developed particularly since 1948 into a comprehensive example of regional integration. Today it is one of the most active and influential regional arrangement, and its area of the operation is confined to the American continent. The US seeks to promote cooperation and collaboration among the member states as well as to work for their collective security of peace and stability in the region. It has the responsibility of securing a peaceful settlement of the inter-American dispute peacefully. it also seeks to the operationalize the regional security system of the basis of their principles. So ये जो अमेरिकान संगठन गुड़िक होता आभ्यंतरण संगठन क्षेत्र में आभ्यंतरण सुरक्षा क्षेत्र में आभ्यंतरण शक्ति प्रदर्शन क्षेत्र में यार उद्देश्य रखिकी या गठन करा जाइथिला. The OAS Organization of American States has been an effective instrument in the implementation of regional integration of the American state. It has helped the number states to sort out and settle peacefully their mutual disputes. It has been the instrument of economic development and security for the members. The USA plays a dominant role in the working. अमेरिकार देश गुड़िक निरापत्ता एवं इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट क्षेत्र में यही संगठन बहुत दिन कार्य कर आसुअछि. अमेरिका सर तापर आम जा ऑस्ट्रेलिया को. ऑस्ट्रेलिया कौन रिजनल इंटीग्रेट कौन अच्छे आम देखा. द इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ द ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड एंड यूएसए. ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स पैक्ट 1951. ANZUS. ए है ऑस्ट्रेलिया, एन है न्यूजीलैंड, यूएसए है यूएसए. ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड एंड यूएसए they make a integration in 1951. This is another case of regional integration in which Australia and New Zealand joined hand with the United States of America in 1951, primarily for the purpose of coordinating their efforts of collective defense and for the preservation of peace in the Pacific. अमेरिकान साहाय्य पाइबापी न्यूजीलैंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया बा मिलिटारी सहयोग पाइबापी से संघ गठन करते. अमेरिका मध्य से चाहूला जे कोल्ड वार पर अमेरिका केमिति निजर शक्ति वृद्धि करिबो ताही हेइथिला. सो 1951 से जो चुक्ति करथिले ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड सहित ता मध्य फलप्रद हेइथिला. ईच पार्टी रिकॉग्नाइज दैट इज द आर्म्ड अटैक इन द पैसिफिक एरिया on any one of the parties would be dangerous for its own peace and safety, and declares that it would set to meet the common danger in the accordance with the constitutional process. An armed attack on any one state which shall be deemed an attack upon all the state and hence shall be met by the collective force. हेलो 1951 मसीह ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड एंड अमेरिका मिलित भाव में चुक्ति करते. ये चुक्तिर मुख्य उद्देश्य थिला जे ऑस्ट्रेलिया और न्यूजीलैंड को अमेरिका ठार किसी मिलिटारी शक्ति मिलिबो एवं ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड को निरापत्ता जोगाईदेव यही उद्देश्य नहीं से चुक्ति को करथिले. नेक्स्ट आम बर्तमान आसवा एशिया को पलि आसवा. एशिया महादेश को पलि आसवा. साउथ ईस्ट एशिया जोटी कि इंडिया अच्छी से पलि आसवा. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ एशियन कंट्रीज. द एशियन ऑफ साउथ ईस्ट एशियन नेशंस and the association of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. You know that SAARC, you heard about the SAARC, ASEAN and SAARC. The full form of ASEAN is listen and write also. The full form of ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and the full form of SAARC is the Association of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperations. Both associations are very important for the Asia continent. The India also take part in that associations. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations by ASEAN. Now I am discuss about the ASEAN. The Vietnam crisis The Vietnam crisis, the US imperialistic rule in the Vietnam, the political crisis in Kampuchea, Indonesia, Laos, and Burma, and the relationship of the need to development through the mutual efforts of encouraged in Southeast Asian national to establish a regional economic association in 1967. The ASEAN was created by the Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. प्रथमे एशियन कॉन्फ्रेंस तो एशियन चुक्ति कहा का मध्य हेतला इंडोनेशिया मालयेशिया फिलीपाइंस सिंगापुर एंड थाईलैंड दोज कंट्रीज आर यूनाइटेड एंड मेक इट द एशियन ता पूर्व जानते जो कहली कोलास ऑफ द वियतनाम वियतनाम यूएसएसआर बा रूसिया को नहीं वियतनाम को नहीं रूसिया गठन हेतला अमेरिकार डिप्लोमेटिक रूल्स माध्यम रे वियतनाम रूसिया ठू separate हो जाइतला. So in 1967 the ASEAN was created by the membership of 5 countries. In 1984 Brunei, 1995 Vietnam, 1997 Laos and Myanmar, 1999 Kuchumpia also joined in the ASEAN. तो पछरे 1984 मसीह ब्रुनेई 1995 मसीह वियतनाम 97 मसीह लाओ एंड म्यांमार एवं 1999 मसीह कुम्पुचुआ एशियन ग्रुप रे योगदान कले. इंडिया जापान एंड चाइना आर डायलॉग पार्टनर्स ऑफ द एशियन. इंडिया वांट्स टू जॉइन द रीजनल फंक्शन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एज द फुल मेंबर्स. एई ग्रुप रो बाहर रही गले किए रही गले बड़ बड़ शक्ति गुड़ाक इंडिया चाइना एंड जापान से बाहर रही रही परवर्ती अवस्था इंडिया एशियन रे योगदान करथिला. The ASEAN is a non-military and non-security economic and cultural association for the Southeast Asian states and it is the perfect example of the regional integration encouraged in pursuing economic objectives of a region in a concentrated and integrated manner. Its main objective, ASEAN mindfully, the main objective of ASEAN groups, first one is accelerated economic growth. सबरो मूल कारण है इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ है. इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ नहले देशर किसी फायदा नहीं. सो फास्ट एम एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव इज इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट एंड सोशल प्रोग्रेस इन द रीजन. सेकंड इज टू प्रमोट रीजनल पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी पीस एंड स्टेबिलिटी. प्रत्येक राष्ट्र शांति बजाय रहा स्थिरता बजाय रहा. बांग्लादेश पाकिस्तान अस्थिर अनस्टेबल गवर्नमेंट. सो दे वांट टू peace and stability in their countries. If anyone any question, have any doubts? Okay, I am continuing this. There are vision of the Asian countries. And number 3 point is to promote active collaboration and mutual assistance on matter of the common interest in various fields. Number 4, to promote mutual cooperation and assistance in providing training and research facilities to the peoples. Number 5, to promote Southeast Asian studies. Number 6, to collaborate in the development of agriculture, trade and the industries. Number 6, to maintain close and beneficial cooperations with the existing international and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes. So there are so many aims and objectives have the ASEAN groups. They also success and success of their aims. Do you know SARC? SARC, I am going to explain about the SARC. SARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. It is a very big organization. The maximum south to south part of the countries of Asia, they will attach in this conference. while ASEAN proposed to the southeastern region of the Asian continent, another regional forum engaged in South Asia almost on the pattern of the ASEAN. And this regional association of South Asian countries is known as SARC. Is known as SARC. Even the seven countries of South Asia, namely, remember it, there are seven countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and Maldives. These seven countries of neighbor country of India. Hello. The seven countries are neighbor country of India joined hands to the form of a regional forum modeled on the lines of ASEAN to serve as an agency or institution for the promoting economic and cultural cooperation among these members. The main objectives or aims of the SARC is, remember, I am going to say about the main aims and objectives of the SARC. First one is the development of a social, economic, cultural, and technical cooperation among the member countries. It is a very important cooperation or needs the development of a social, economic, cultural, technical cooperation among the member countries. Number two, it declared that the guiding principles of functioning will be to respect the principle of a sovereign equality, independence, integrity, and non-interference in each other affairs. Number three, it was also stated that decisions at all levels shall be taken on the basis of a conscious and the bilateral and the continuous issues shall be excluded from the deliberations. Number four, it was further accepted that the regional cooperation shall be complementary and supplementary to the bilateral and multilateral cooperations among the member states. तो ये जो भारत, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, भूटान, श्रीलंका, मालदीव ये जो देश गुड़िक सेवेन कंट्रीज मिलकर सार गठन करते मुख्य उद्देश्य थिला कि सेमानक देशर डेवलपमेंट हवा सोशल हो, कल्चरल हो, इकोनॉमिक हो, ये सब डेवलपमेंट करवा थिला. तो सार्क इज ए नॉन मिलिटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. रिमेंबर इट, सार्क इज ए नॉन मिलिटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. तापरे आम लास्ट पॉइंट आम जीवा कोटिकी पैसिफिक कंट्रीज, एशिया पैसिफिक कंट्रीज. आउ गोटे एसोसिएशन हला इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ एशिया पैसिफिक कंट्रीज. इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ एशिया पैसिफिक कंट्रीज, एशिया पैसिफिक इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन, APEC. Remember it, APEC. The abbreviation of APEC is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Another prominent example of regional integration can be seen in the APEC Forum of 21th nation of Asia Pacific, popularly known as the countries of the Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim. Some of the most powerful economic united to form the entity known as the APEC. It was formed in 1989 at the initiative of the Australian Prime Minister Mr. Bob Hawke. Australian Prime Minister Mr. Bob Hawke. Its original member were 12 members. The 12 members, remember 12 members of the APEC: US, Australia, Canada, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, and Brunei. They are the members. China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong joined in 1991. ସେମାନେ 1951 ମସିହାରେ ପଛରେ ଜଏନ୍ କଲେ. ତାପରେ ମେକ୍ସିକୋ, ପୁପୁଆ ନ୍ୟୁଗିନିଆ ସେମାନେ 1993 ରେ ଜଏନ୍ କଲେ. ଚିଲି 1994 ଜଏନ୍ କଲା। ଶେଷରେ later Russia, Peru and Vietnam also became the member of this forum 1998. So FPSC is a very big association. Very big association. FPSC is a primary engaged in the promoting free trade and the investment. Free trade and investment. It supports so liberating the market of information technology and the commits of the action plan for the dismantling economic barriers. एपीईसी द्वारा आज ग्लोबलाइजेशन सृष्टि होती एमएनसी कंपनी माने मल्टीनेशनल काम करने सुजोग पाई एपीएसी मेंबर एंड्रोज टू द डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ए फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स फॉर इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एंड डेवलपमेंट इन एपीईसी इट also decided to work together with the private sector representative and the national or international financial institutions and developed a framework of involving the private sector or infrastructure provisions. आमे वर्तमान पृथ्वीर सबु देश महादेश बुलिकी तांकर थिबा जो एसोसिएशन बा यूनियन विषय आम पढ़िले तेणु ये सब यूनियन गुड़िक थिला नॉन मिलिटारी यूनियन यूरोपियन कंट्री हो वेस्टर्न यूरोप ईस्टर्न यूरोप अमेरिका ऑस्ट्रेलिया एशिया अफ्रीकन there are so many countries that have made their union for their development of nations. Okay, chapter unit 8 is completed. Now I am going to another unit 9, international organization and states. International organizations and state. Chapter 9, international organization and state. In this chapter we will cover classification of international organizations, nation state system and its interaction with the international organizations, international organizations, their impact on the states, and also summary. These points will be covered. Now I am going to say about the international organization and state. International organization is the process of organizing the growing complexity of relations. International organizations are the institutions which represent the phase of that process. They are the expressions of and contribution to the process of international organizations, as well as the significant factors in contemporary world affairs. Today the fact contains numerous international organizations. However, the state still continues to be the prime political unity through which the aspirations of the people of a particular territory are realized. But there is a growing desire to understand the people of other countries and cooperate with them. The technological development have been an important factor in the bargaining of the people together. As a result, no state, however powerful, can act in the isolations. Thus, international organization is the process by which states establish and develop formal continuing institutional structures for the conduct of a certain aspect of their relationship with each other. It represents a reaction to the extreme declarations of the traditional system of international relations and the constantly increasing complexity of the interdependence of states. The point is the classification of international organization. Classification of international organization. First one is the classification based on the functions. First point is the classification based on function. କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଅନୁସାରେ ବା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକୁ ନେଇକି ତାକୁ ବିଭାଗୀକରଣ କରାଯାଇଛି। କ'ଣ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଥିଲା? The first classification is based on the function of the international organizations. On this basis, the organizations are classified as political, administrative, and judicial. The political organizations are primarily concerned with the preservation of international peace and security. The examples of these are UNO, United Nations Organization, ILO, International Labour Organizations. The political organizations have a comprehensive competence. The administrative organizations have very limited aims and objectives. The Trustship Council is primarily the administrative organization. The third category consists of the judicial organization like the Permanent Court of Justice and the International Court of Justice. This classification of the international organization has been branded as the uniscientific and the mainly based on the convenience for purpose of presentation and descriptions. Number 2, प्रथम पॉइंट कहले कि जे कार्य को नेकी अंतर्जातीय संगठन गुड़िक गठन करा जायछि। को कार्य को नेकी ना यूनाइटेड अफ नेशंस मिलित जाति संघ एवं अंतर्जातीय श्रमिक संगठन यही संगठन गुड़िक अंतर्जातीय स्तर रे वाणिज्य कारोबार पई न्यायर आदान प्रदान पई पीस एंड सिक्यूरिटी पई शांति एवं निरापत्ता पई ये संगठन गुड़िक गठन करा जायछि। मु सीधा सह कहबा को गले यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विषय में कहि दउछि। यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वाज created on 1945. What is the United Nations Organization? I am just something saying about what is this organization. What is United Nations Organization? The United Nations Organization headquartered in New York is a 193 members of international organization. It was established in 1945 in order to avoid another world war. During the Second World War, the leaders of the Allied governments conducted several meetings that eventually led to the formation of the United Nations Organization. Participating nations signed in the charter. It was formed on October 24, 1945. October 24, 1945. This United Nations has 6 official languages like that Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and French are among them. There are only 5 permanent members in the UNO. 5 permanent members. Others are temporary members. How many organs of the UNO? First, General Assembly. Second, Security Council. Third, International Court of Justice. 4, Economic and Social Council. 5, Trustee Council. 6, Secretariat. There are 6 organs of the UNO. Repeated again: General Assembly, Security Council, International Court of Justice, Economic and Social Council, Trustee Council, Secretariats are the organ of UNO. What is the key objectives of this UNO? To finalize and adopt the charter establishing a new international organization to maintain peace and security. The first and foremost important point is maintain peace and security. Number 2, to reflect and wartime of cooperation and post-war aspirations for the global unity and development. ତେଣୁ ଏହାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା କି ଯେ ବିଶ୍ୱରେ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ବନ୍ଦ କରିକି ଶାନ୍ତି ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା କରିବା, ବିଶ୍ୱରେ ସ୍ଥିରତା ବଜାୟ ରଖିବା ଏହାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା। ଏହି ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନେଇକି ଅକ୍ଟୋବର 24 ତାରିଖ 1945 ମସିହାରେ ମିଳିତ ଜାତିସଂଘର ଗଠନ ହୋଇଥିଲା। ଏହାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ହେଲା ସାଧାରଣ ପରିଷଦ, ସୁରକ୍ଷା ପରିଷଦ ଓ ସାମାଜିକ ପରିଷଦ, ସଚିବାଳୟ, ଆନ୍ତର୍ଜାତିକ ନ୍ୟାୟାଳୟ ଏହାର ସବୁ ଅଙ୍ଗ ହେଉଛି। ନ୍ୟାସ ପରିଷଦ ମଧ୍ୟ ଅଛି, ସେକ୍ରେଟାରୀ ସଚିବାଳୟ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏହାର ଅଙ୍ଗ ହେଇକି ଅଛି। ଏହି ସବୁ ଅର୍ଗାନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ତାର ସବୁ କାମ କରୁଛି, ହେଲା କି। ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ହବାର ପଛରେ ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା କି ପୃଥିବୀରେ ଶାନ୍ତି ବଜାୟ ରଖିବା। ପ୍ରଥମ ବିଶ୍ୱଯୁଦ୍ଧ ପରେ ଲିଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ନେସନ୍ ଗଠନ କରାଯାଇଥିଲା ଯେ ପୃଥିବୀରେ ଆଉ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ହେବନି, ଯଦି ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ହୁଏ ତାକୁ ଲିଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ନେସନ୍ ବନ୍ଦ କରିବ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଲିଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ନେସନ୍ ଏହା କରିବାରେ ବିଫଳ ହେବାରୁ ପୁଣି 1939ରେ ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ ବିଶ୍ୱଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଲାଗିଗଲା। ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ ବିଶ୍ୱଯୁଦ୍ଧରେ ବହୁତ କ୍ଷୟକ୍ଷତି ହେବାରୁ ବିଶ୍ୱ ନେତାମାନେ ଏକତ୍ରିତ ହୋଇ ଭାବିଲେ, ନା, ଯଦି ତୃତୀୟ ବିଶ୍ୱଯୁଦ୍ଧ ହୁଏ ତାହେଲେ ପୃଥିବୀ ପୃଷ୍ଠ ସମଗ୍ର ମାନବ ଜାତି ଧ୍ୱଂସ ପାଇଯିବ। ତେଣୁ ମାନବ ଜାତିକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ବଡ଼ ବଡ଼ ନେତାମାନେ ଏକତ୍ରିତ ହେଲେ ଏବଂ ଏକ ନୂଆ ସଂଗଠନ ତିଆରି କଲେ। ନୂଆ ସଂଗଠନ ନୁହେଁ, ଯେଉଁ ଲିଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ନେସନ୍ ଥିଲା ତାକୁ ମଡିଫିକେସନ୍ କରିଦେଲେ, ତାର ନୂଆ ନାଁ ଦେଲେ ୟୁନାଇଟେଡ୍ ନେସନ୍ସ ଅଫ୍ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍। ଆଉ ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ନିକଟରେ ନାଟୋ ନାମକ ସୈନିକ ବାହିନୀ ରଖାଗଲା। ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ଚାହିଁଲେ ସୈନିକ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରିପାରିବ, ଯେଉଁ ଦେଶ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ କରିବ ତାକୁ ବନ୍ଦ କରାଯିବ, ନହେଲେ ତାକୁ ବଳ ପ୍ରୟୋଗ କରି ତାକୁ ବନ୍ଦ କରାଯିବାର ଏହି ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନେଇକି ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ଗଠନ କରିଲା। ଆଜି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଏହି ସଂଗଠନ ଭଲ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରୁଛି। ତାକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ବିଶ୍ୱ ସରକାର ବୋଲି କୁହାଯାଏ। କିନ୍ତୁ 2025ରେ ଏହା ଫେଲ୍ ହେବା ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳୁଛି। 2025ରେ ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ ଫେଲ୍ ହେବାର ଆମେ ଯାହା ଆଶା କରୁଛୁ ବା ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଆନାଲିସିସ୍ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ଜଣାପଡ଼ୁଛି ଏହା ଫେଲ୍। କାହିଁକି ନା ରୁଷିଆ ୟୁକ୍ରେନ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଦୀର୍ଘ 3 ବର୍ଷ ହେବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲାଣି। ଏହା ପୃଥିବୀର ଅସ୍ଥିରତା ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରୁଛି। ଇସ୍ରାଏଲ, ଇରାକ, ଇରାନ ଏସବୁ ଦେଶ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଲାଗି ରହିଛି। ଭାରତ ପାକିସ୍ତାନ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଲାଗି ରହିଛି। ପୃଥିବୀର ବହୁ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ବାରବାର ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ହେଉଛି, ଯାହାକି ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ ଏହା ବନ୍ଦ କରିବାରେ ସଫଳ ହେଇପାରୁ ନାହିଁ। So partially it was failed. UNO was failed partially. Classification based on the field operation. Number 2 point, the classification based on the field operations. In the second instance, the organizations can be classified in the basis of the field organ operations as global and regional. A global organization usually possesses universal membership and has greater competence than the regional organizations. A global organization like the UN may have with the many regional bodies such as the regional commissions of economic and social councils. The Economic Commission for Asia, the Far East, Europe, Latin America, Africa, etc. The regional organizations normally cover a narrow region and have very limited powers in the in the function of the regional organizations to the geographical considerations needed to necessarily guide their formation. Number 3, classification based on the government and state treaties. Classification based on the government and the state treaties. The third criteria followed in the classification of the international organization based on the treaty between the state or the treaty between the governments. Whereas the organization based on the treaty between the state embrace the totality of the state institutions like legislature, executive, and judicial organs. The organizations based on the intergovernmentally is concerned only with the administrative wing alone. The example of interstate organizations are the Food and Agriculture Organization, WHO, etc. Number 4, classification based on the membership and activity. Classification based on membership and activity. Professor Norman Hill has suggested that classification of international organization of the basis of membership and the activity. From the point of membership in international organization, bilateral, regional, universal, bilateral, regional, and universal. The examples of bilateral organizations are International Joint Commission for the USA and Canada. Anglo-Egyptian Coalition for the Sudan. Example of regional organizations as Organization American States and the Universal Organization are the League of Nations and the UNO. From the point of view of the activities, the international organizations are either general for functional, UNO or US are the example of general organizations. The other functional organizations are WHO, ILO, FAO, UNICEF, IBRD, IFC, IMC, ICAO, UPO, WMO. So many organizations have in the international level. They are working in the international level under the guidance of UNO. Next, international organizations and national state systems. The international organizations, as its historical background reveals, it is neither self-contained for the self-sufficient. It is in the constant interactions with the national state system as well as the international system. And because of the intermediary position between the two systems, it is adapted to the development which occur at both end levels. These international organizations have their impact on states. United Nations गठन हेबा द्वारा आंतर्जातिक स्तर रे थिबा देश गुड़िक उपरे यार कौन प्रभाव पड़िला प्रकृत रे यूएनओ देश मानकर सहयोग साहाय्य कला कि ना यूएनओ द्वारा देश गुड़िक क्षति रे पहुँचले तार कौन प्रभाव वर्तमान आमे डिस्कशन करिबा A fundamental characteristics of the international organization that emerges in the context of a multi-state system is its lack of the legislative and executive powers. The United Nations did have a general responsibility to maintain peace and security. promote economic betterment, protect human right and any of all means। ଆମେ ସିଧା କହିପାରିବା ଯେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଉପରେ ଏହା ସିଧା ପ୍ରଭାବ ପଡ଼ିଛି କ'ଣ ନା ଟୁ ମେଣ୍ଟେନ୍ ପିସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି। ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ ଭୟରେ କୌଣସି ଦେଶ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁନାହିଁ। ଦେଖ ଭାରତ ପାକିସ୍ତାନ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଚାଲୁଥିଲା ବେଳେ ଆମେରିକାର ହସ୍ତକ୍ଷେପ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଉଭୟ ଦେଶ ଡରିଯାଇ ଯୁଦ୍ଧକୁ ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଲେ। ତେଣୁ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଆଉ ଅଗ୍ରସର ହେଲା ନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ଏଠି ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ପରିବର୍ତ୍ତେ ପିସ୍ ବଜାଇ ରହିଲା। ସେଇଭଳିଆ ପ୍ରମୋଟ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ ବେଟରମେଣ୍ଟ और प्रमोट ह्यूमन राइट्स अर्थनीति क्षेत्र में मानविक अधिकार क्षेत्र में ये मध्य राष्ट्र मानक बहुत सुफल मिला। तेणु मोटामोटी कहवाक गले यूएनओ प्रत्येक राष्ट्र उपर गुड इफेक्ट पकई। दे यूज इट व्हेन इट suits their particular interest and purpose। International agencies of the often directly prohibited from the interfering in matters which are considered within the domestic jurisdictions of a state. But these hand-off provisions have sometimes been loosened by the interpretation of permit international organization to override objection to its competence by the affected states। केतेक राष्ट्र पई यह सफल आनिबा बेले केतेक राष्ट्र पई यह दुख पहुंची बोली से माने दाबी करंती। काहेकि ना यूएनओ रे थिबा पावरफुल कंट्री गुड़िक से माने यूएनओ चार्टरु बाहर को जाइए निज देशर स्वार्थ पाई छोट छोट देश गुड़िक से माने गिळिबाकू लागुचंती। जोटा कि आम मत्स्य आईन बोली कहि थाउ बड़ माछ छोट माछ को गिळि थाए। दिस इज द रूल ऑफ फिश बा मत्स्य आईन। तो इंटरनेशनल लेवल आम देखु कौन बड़ माछ बा बड़ देश छोट देश को किपरि गिळिबाकू लागुची। नाउ the summary of the international organization and state। I am going to summary। The state today is functioning in a new environment of global contest, international politics and changed interaction of sovereignty, autonomy, etc. The earlier position in the context of a national state system is that the jurisdiction of international organization is highly restricted। They are authorized to act on the within the well-defined limits, and when they are disposed to go to beyond and the effort of be more effective then they are sharply held back by states that wish to exercise an independent initiative। It did not, however, mean that international organization only on national system, it is affect it। The record of their achievements in peaceful settlement of international disputes, in economic and social cooperations, in protection of human rights, and in the other tasks for which they are responsible, of course, have been in the final test of the effectiveness। आमे शेषरे उपनीत हेलु कि इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बा विश्व सरकार नाम रे परिचित होइतिबा यूएन समर्थित थिबा छोट छोट ऑर्गन गुड़िक प्रत्येक देश को संपूर्ण सहयोग करुच्ची। कल्चरल क्षेत्र में, एजुकेशन क्षेत्र में, फूड सिक्योरिटी क्षेत्र में, कम्युनिकेशन क्षेत्र में एवं वर्ल्ड बैंक मध्य अनेक क्षेत्र में देश मान को साहाय्य करुच्ची। संदेह किसी नहीं। तेणु छोट छोट गरीब देश गुड़िक यूनाइटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन माध्यम शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य और कम्युनिकेशन क्षेत्र में बहुत उपकृत होती। एथिरे मध्य भारत बाद पड़ना। भारत जिते गरीब थिला से मध्य यूएन द्वारा बा वर्ल्ड बैंक द्वारा अनेक सुविधा पाई और भारत डेवलपमेंट काम मध्य बहुत होती। ओके, चैप्टर यूनिट 9 is complete. Now I am going to say unit 10. Unit 10, transnational or multinational cooperation and state. Multinational cooperation and state. We covered some points that are towards the definition and the multinational cooperations, globalization and the changing nature of MNC, state and MNC, key features of the state. MNC is increasing the clout and the erosion sovereignty, prescriptions of the MNC enthusiastic and prescriptions of the MNC escapists. These points are about now explained. Towards a definition of a multinational cooperation, multinational corporations. What is the multinational corporations? Controversy over definition of a multinational corporation by MNC. Multinational corporations appears to for the form ever, even though the two terms multinational and transnational are often used to interchangeably in the literature of comparative politics. Different scholars attribute distinct meaning to them, widely perceived at footless and stateless entities by the various globalists. A multinational corporation can be conveniently defined as the firm based in a single home country that invests in one or more other states known as the host countries. However, even this relatively simple and less controversial definition raised a central issue regarding the implementation of foreign direct investment. For example, whose interest does the MNC represent? Those of the home country, the host country, or the firm itself? This ambiguity has resulted to the debate of the appropriate labeling of the MNC. MNC है अंतर्जातीय स्तर में बेसरकारी कंपनी। वर्तमान देखो सरकारी कार्य अपेक्षा बेसरकारी कार्य द्रुत बेगरे प्रोग्रेस करुच्ची और प्रवेश मध्य करुच्ची। पृथ्वी रे एमएनसी गुड़िक और मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी गुड़िक ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड रे अछंती। भारत रे मध्य अनेक एमएनसी अछंती। चाइना रे जापान अमेरिका बहुत एमएनसी गुड़ाक अछंती। रिलायंस ओप्पो वीवो बा कार मैन्युफैक्चर कंपनी दे आर द एमएनसी। तो एमएनसी द्वारा हमें बहुत फायदा मध्य पाई था, बहुत मध्य लॉस होता। तो एमएनसी गुड़ाक आमको किपरि सहाय्य करुच्ची? जगतीकरण जुगरे एमएनसी रो भूमिका कौन रोचे? ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी वाज आल्सो एमएनसी। देखो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी भारत रे सृष्टि होता। तार ब्रांच बहुत देश रे थिला। भारत रे इंग्लैंड रे मैन्युफैक्चर होता और भारत रे सेल होता। भारत रे रॉ मेटेरियल कलेक्शन होता, इंग्लैंड रे मैन्युफैक्चर होता ଆଉ ୱାର୍ଲଡରେ ସେଲ୍ ହେଉଥିଲା। ତେଣୁ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଦେଶରେ ଏମାନେ ଏହା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିବାର କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ମୁଡ୍ ପ୍ରଫିଟ୍, ସେବା ବଦଳରେ ଲାଭ। ଦ ମେନ୍ ଅବଜେକ୍ଟିଭ ଏଣ୍ଡ ଏମ୍ସ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ଏମ୍ଏନ୍ସି ଇଜ୍ ପ୍ରଫିଟ୍ ଏଗନେଷ୍ଟ ସର୍ଭିସ, ସେବା ବଦଳରେ ଲାଭ। ସେମାନେ ଅଧିକ ସେବା ଲାଭ ଚାହିଁଥାନ୍ତି, ଠିକ୍ ସେଇଭଳି ମଧ୍ୟ ସେବା ଦେଇଥାନ୍ତି। ସରକାରୀ ସଂସ୍ଥା ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ସେବା ଅଧିକ ଦିଅନ୍ତି, କମ୍ ଲାଭ ନିଅନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ସରକାରୀ ଓ ବେସରକାରୀ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ବହୁତ ପାର୍ଥକ୍ୟ ଅଛି। ସରକାରୀ ସପୋଜ ମୁଁ କହିବି ଭାରତର ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ, ଯେତେବେଳେ ସରକାରୀ ସଂସ୍ଥା ଦ୍ୱାରା ପରିଚାଳିତ ହେଉଥିଲା ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ, ସେତେବେଳେ ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ଇଜ୍ ନଟ୍ ୱେଲ୍ ଫଙ୍କସନ୍, ଭଲ କାମ କରୁନଥିଲା। ସଂସ୍ଥା ଡୁବି ଡୁବି ଯାଉଥିଲା, ଲୋକମାନେ ପଇସା ଦେଉନଥିଲେ, ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଲକ୍ଷ ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ସବୁ ବିଲ୍ସ, ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ବିଲ୍ସ ପେଣ୍ଡିଂ ରହିଥିଲା। ସରକାରଙ୍କ କଥା କେହି ଶୁଣୁନଥିଲେ। ସରକାରରେ କାମ କରୁଥିବା ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟି ମାନେ ଲାଞ୍ଚଖୋର ଥିଲେ। ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟଟା ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଭୁଷୁଡ଼ିଗଲା। ସୋ ଦ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ୱାଜ୍ ଡିସାଇଡ୍ ଟୁ ଟେକ୍ ଓଭର ଦ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟର। ଯେ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟରକୁ ଏଇ କମ୍ପାନୀ ହାତ ଟେକି ଦେଲା ବା କମ୍ପାନୀକୁ ଦେଇ ଦିଆଗଲା। ତ ଦେଖ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆଜିର ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ କେତେ ଉଚ୍ଚରେ କାମ କରୁଛି, କେତେ ଉଚ୍ଚରେ। ତେଣୁ ଆମକୁ 24 ଘଣ୍ଟିଆ ସେବା ଦେଉଛି। ଆଉ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଅଞ୍ଚଳକୁ ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଯୋଗାଇ ଦେଉଛି। ତା ବଦଳରେ କୌଣସି ଲୋକ ବିଲ୍ ବାକି ରଖୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ମାସ ଶେଷ ନ ହେଉଣୁ ସେମାନେ ବିଲ୍ ପଇଠ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଏଥିରେ ଏମ୍ଏନ୍ସି କେତେ ସକ୍ସେସଫୁଲ୍ ହେଲା, ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟର କେତେ ସକ୍ସେସ୍ ହେଲା ଆପଣମାନେ ଦେଖିପାରନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ କହିବାର କିଛି ନାହିଁ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଲାଷ୍ଟ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ୍ ଦେଉଛି, ବିଏସ୍ଏନ୍ଏଲ୍ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଇଜ୍ ଏ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ୟୁନିଟି। ରିଲାଏନ୍ସ ଏୟାରଟେଲ୍ ଦେ ଆର୍ ଦ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ୟୁନିଟ୍। ତେବେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରନ୍ତୁ କେଉଁ ସେକ୍ଟରଟା ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ଅଧିକ ପ୍ରଫିଟ୍ ଦେଉଛି, ଆଉ କେଉଁ ସେକ୍ଟରଟା ପ୍ରଫିଟ୍ ଛାଡ଼ନ୍ତୁ, କେଉଁ ସେକ୍ଟର ଭଲ କାମ କରୁଛି। ବିଏସ୍ଏନ୍ଏଲ୍ କମ୍ପାନୀଟା ଭଲ କାମ କରୁଛି ନା ଏୟାରଟେଲ୍ ରିଲାଏନ୍ସ ଭଲ କାମ କରୁଛି? ସରକାରୀ ସଂସ୍ଥାରେ ନିଯୁକ୍ତ ହୋଇଥିବା ଅଫିସର ମାନେ ଆଳସ୍ୟ ପରିଣତା, ଲାଞ୍ଚଖୋର ହେବା ଯୋଗୁଁ ସେ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଠିକ୍ ସେ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକାରୀ ହୋଇପାରୁନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ଏମ୍ଏନ୍ସି ବା ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟର କାମ କରୁଥିବା ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟ ମାନେ ଆଜିର ମାନେ ଆସନ୍ତାକାଲିର କାମ ଆଜି, ଆଜିର କାମ ଏବେ କରୁଥିବାରୁ ସେ କାମ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଅପଡେଟ୍ ରହୁଛି ବା କୌଣସି ଟେବୁଲ ଉପରେ କୌଣସି ଫାଇଲ୍ ପେଣ୍ଡିଂ ରହୁନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ଲୋକମାନେ ଯେଉଁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ ଅଧିକ ଭରସା ଓ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ରଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଇନଷ୍ଟେଡ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ। ଜୁଡ଼ିସିଆଲ ସିଷ୍ଟମ କଥା କହିବି, ତମର କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ଲସ୍ ହେଲା, ତମେ କୋର୍ଟରେ ଆଶ୍ରୟ ନେଲ, ତୁମକୁ ଆଇନ ପାଇବା ପାଇଁ ମାସ ମାସ ବର୍ଷ ବର୍ଷ ଦୌଡ଼ିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ୁଛି, ତଥାପି ତମେ ଆଇନ ପାଇପାରୁନ। କେତେ କାମରେ ଡିଲେ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ ସେମିତି ଡିଲେ କୌଣସି ନାହିଁ, ଇମିଡ଼ିଏଟଲି ତାକୁ ସେବା ଯୋଗାଉଛନ୍ତି। ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ତାର ଛିଣ୍ଡିଗଲା, ଆଜି ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟ ମାନେ ଆସିକି ତାର ଯୋଡ଼ୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆଉ କରେଣ୍ଟ ସପ୍ଲାଏ ଦେଉଛନ୍ତି। ଯଦି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟର ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା ତାହେଲେ 6 ମାସ ପଡ଼ିଥାନ୍ତା, 6 ମାସ ପରେ ଯାଇକି ଲାଇନ୍ ଆସିଥାନ୍ତା। କେତେ ଚେଞ୍ଜେସ୍ ହେଇଯାଇଛି, କେତେ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସ ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି। ତେଣୁ ଲୋକମାନେ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ ସେକ୍ଟରକୁ ଭରସା କରୁଥିବାରୁ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଦ୍ରୁତ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରେସ୍ କରୁଛି। ତାହା ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଦେଶରେ ଶାଖା ପ୍ରଶାଖା ଖୋଲି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ସେବା ଯୋଗାଉଛି। ଭାରତୀୟ ବଜାରରେ ଗ୍ଲୋବାଲାଇଜେସନର ପ୍ରବେଶ ଯୋଗୁଁ ଭାରତୀୟ ବଜାରରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ମଲ୍କୁ ଗଲେ ୱାର୍ଲଡର ସମସ୍ତ ବ୍ରାଣ୍ଡ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ପାଇପାରିବେ। ୱାର୍ଲଡର ସମସ୍ତ ବ୍ରାଣ୍ଡ ଆପଣମାନେ ଗୋଟିଏ ମଲ୍ରେ ପାଇପାରିବେ, ସାରା ୱାର୍ଲଡ ବୁଲିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ନାହିଁ। ଏମ୍ଏନ୍ସି ବା ଗ୍ଲୋବାଲାଇଜେସନ ଆମକୁ କେତେ ସହଯୋଗ କରିଛି। Globalization and the changing natures of MNC. The nature of a multinational company has undergone a distinct change with the unfolding of the process of globalization around the world. This is evident from the changes that are fast occurring at the level of production activities taking place within the MNC. As against the older times when there was a clear demarcation between the production activities taking the place at the headquarters and the secondary activities occurring in the subsidiary branches. Now, the companies have become truly global, with the headquarters nearly being to the convenient site of the strategic decision making. TNC, such as IBM, could be regarded as the American company with the several foreign affiliates, give it a widespread extent of sales owing to the revolutionary development of field global communication. Production activities of TNC have today become the truly global. तो हेडक्वार्टर जोड़ था ना कहीं तार सबऑर्डिनेट ब्रांच सारा वर्ल्ड रे रही तेणु एमएनसी गुड़ाक से भल काम कर अधिक प्रॉफिट मिल से बाजार क्रिएट कर स्टेट एंड मल्टीनेशनल कॉर्पोरेशंस in this context of the balance between the MNC and the government according to the Roth, Hugo and Martin Horop raises in the modern form the age-old the question of the relationship between economic and the political power in its current form of the logic giving the relationship is simple. Capital is the mobile, laborless, so and state not all at all. Companies can move their factories between countries, but states by definition are fixed in sphere. As a result, countries must complete to provide the effective home to foreign direct investment, providing an environment which at least as the business friendly as they have provided many competitors. State is clearly to major challenge for the government, providing potential for the competitive deregulation and tax competitions. भारत रे मेक इन इंडिया ओडिशा रे मेक इन ओडिशा प्रोग्राम माध्यम रे आमे विदेशर थिबा कंपनी गुडी को आमे इनवाइट करूछु जे सेमन ओडिशा रे हो बा भारत रे हो इन्वेस्टमेंट करंतु बिकॉज मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी आसीबा द्वारा भारत रे नियुक्ति सृष्टि हेबो अर्थनीति डेवलपमेंट हेबो चीप रेट रे आमे सब प्रोडक्ट गुडा को किनी परिबा सेही उद्देश्य रे आमे सस्ता को सरकार सस्ता खोजुची कंपनी मध्य सस्ता खोजुची कंपनी खोजुची जे कम इन्वेस्टमेंट मोर प्रॉफिट on the one of the most widely used definition of the concept of state is advanced in the term being the sole legitimate unit of political rule which it is on the population territory and the autonomous of a sovereign government of all the features. It is the accompanying nations of a sovereignty that is really consolidated the dominance of a state by the authority. It is to act as the independent and autonomous entity both within the and outside there the international jurisdictions. The features of the state. First one, the state is sovereign. It exercises absolute and unrestricted power in that it stands above the other associational and group of society. Number two, state institutions are recognizingly public in contrast to the public and the private institutions of the civil society. Public bodies are the responsible for making and enforcing collective decisions, while private bodies such as families, private business and trade unions exist in the safety individuals and interest. Number three, the state is in the exercise is the legitimation. The decisions of the state are the usually accepted as building on the members of a society because it is claimed they are made in the public interest upon the common good. The state sufficiently reflects the permanent interest of the society. Number four, the state is instrument of domination. State authority is backed up by coercion. The state must have the capacity to ensure that its laws and obeyed and that transgression are punished. A monopoly of legitimate violence is therefore is the practical expression of state sovereignty. Number 4, the state is a territorial association. The jurisdiction of the state is geographically defined and the encompasses of all those who live within the state borders, whether they are citizen or non-citizen. On the interaction stages, the state is therefore regarded as an autonomous entity. ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରରେ ଏମଏନସି ଗୁଡ଼ିକ କାମ କରିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ବାଉଣ୍ଡରୀ ସଂକୁଚିତ ହେଇଯାଉଛି। କାହିଁକି ନା ବିଦେଶୀ ନାଗରିକ ମାନେ ବାରମ୍ବାର ଦେଶ ମଧ୍ୟ ପ୍ରବେଶ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ବାରମ୍ବାର ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ବିଦେଶୀ ନାଗରିକ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଦେଶ ମଧ୍ୟ ପ୍ରବେଶ କରିବା ଓ ଯିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଦେଶର ସିକ୍ରେଟ ନଷ୍ଟ ହୋଇଯାଏ, ଦେଶର ସାର୍ବଭୌମତ୍ୱ ନଷ୍ଟ ହୋଇଯାଏ, ଦେଶର ସରକାର ମଧ୍ୟ ଦିନକୁ ଦିନ ଦୁର୍ବଳ ହୋଇଯାଆନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ଏମଏନସି ଯେତିକି ଲାଭ ଦେଇଥାଏ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ପ୍ରତି ସେତିକି କ୍ଷତି ପହଞ୍ଚିଥାଏ। ଏମଏନସି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ଲାଭ ଦେଇଥାଏ, ତାର ବଜାରରେ ପ୍ରଡକ୍ସନ ବିକିଲା, ପଇସା ନେଲା, ଲୋକମାନେ ସେବା ପାଇଲେ, କମ୍ପାନୀ ବେନିଫିଟ୍ ପାଇଲା। ମୋଟ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଯେହେତୁ ଲିବରାଲ ହେଇଛି ଏମଏନସି ପ୍ରତି, ତେଣୁ ଏମଏନସି କମ୍ପାନୀ ଆସିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ବହୁତ କିଛି କ୍ଷତି ହେଇଯାଉଛି। MNC, next point, MNC increasing the clout and the erosion of sovereignty. Peter Williams, in his recent study of the full range of transnational terms, including multinational corporations, identifies some of the important grounds on which states appear to be first losing their abilities of maintain their sovereign authority. MNC ପ୍ରବେଶ ଦ୍ୱାରା ତେଲିଆ ମୁଣ୍ଡରେ ତେଲ ଭଳି ହୋଇଥାଏ। ଧନୀ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରମାନେ ଏହାର ବେନିଫିଟ୍ ପାଇଥାନ୍ତି, ଗରିବ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରମାନେ ଅଧିକ ଗରିବରୁ ଗରିବ ହୋଇଥାନ୍ତି। କାହିଁକି ନା ଏମଏନସି ସେରା ଗରିବ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ସବୁ ଶୋଷି ନେଇଥାଏ, ଧନୀ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଅଧିକ ଫାଇଦା ହୋଇଥାଏ। ନେକ୍ସଟ, ଫାଇନାନ୍ସିଆଲ ଫ୍ଲୁଜ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଲସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ସଭରେଣ୍ଟି। Analyzing the political impact of excessive transnationalization of major companies on the state, Willett argues that it is no longer possible to regard each country as having its own economy. This has had to most severe impact on the abilities of the state to exercise effective control over two of the most fundamental attributes of the sovereignty, that is, control over the currency and control over the foreign trade, by illustrating the case of the increasing intra-farm trade and the frequent recourse to fixing of transport prices with the MNC state. Triangulation of trade and loss of sovereignty. Trade and loss of sovereignty. I am already discussing about the sovereignty of a state. The state was facing problems about the sovereignty by the MNC. Yesterday also I told about the globalization and also explained about the MNC. The summary of the topic, what comes out quite clear from the above discussion is that multinational corporations have not only become very important transnational political actors, but also that they have become too rich and so powerful that they can influence most of the outcomes in the world today. However, in the complex of the interdependence between the host countries, home countries and the firms that is created by the MNC global network will continue to generate control controversy in the future. It is also a fact of while few countries are in the position of the international investment, they will continue to question to MNC impact on the national interest, no matter how powerful the MNC have become today. The nation state simply cannot be written off it. MNC गुड़िक आसवा द्वारा बा MNC गुड़िक प्रभाव द्वारा राष्ट्र बजार संपर्क किपरि होउची मु फास्ट कहूँ कि राष्ट्र कार्यकलाप भूमिका पर मात्र परिवर्तन होइछि। प्रत्येक देशर सरकार माने उभय गुणात्मक और परिमाणात्मक दृष्टि नूतन कौशल नीति निर्धारण करुछन्ति। राष्ट्र कार्यकलाप अनेक नागरिक समाज गोष्ठी अर्थशास्त्र गोष्ठी सामाजिक अनुष्ठान ए प्रतियोगिता और सहयोगमूलक भागीदार भूमिका निर्वाह करुछन्ति। राष्ट्र केन्द्रीभूत क्षमता गुड़ी को विकेन्द्रीकरण अण अमलांतरीकरण नगरपालिका पंचायत राज भली स्वायत्त शासन व्यवस्था मध्य अण राष्ट्र नाम अनेक सामाजिक सेवा कार्य निर्वाह करुछि। पुरातन पद्धति कार्यक्रम करुवा अमलातंत्र व्यवस्था वर्तमान अंत सरकार अंत राष्ट्र स्तर में उभय द्रव्य पुंजी श्रम एवं सूचना आदान प्रदान करुछन्ति। वर्तमान राष्ट्र योजना परामर्श चुक्तिपत्र आलोचना नीति निर्धारण इत्यादि एक संयोगकारी संस्था रूपे यह कार्य करुछि। राष्ट्र अनेक कार्यकलाप एक केन्द्रस्थली अटे जोठारे विभिन्न रूपायन कार्य करुछन्ति। जगतीकरण में सरकार अनेक संस्था को नूतन भाव तैयारी करुछन्ति, यार कार्य को परिवर्तन करुछन्ति, जहा द्वारा दृढ़ परिवर्तनशील परिवेश रे नूतन नीति और आभिमुख्य सह निजको सामिल करने सहित दीर्घमियादी विकास करिपारिबे। राष्ट्र नेता माने एपरि संस्था को गठन करुछन्ति जहा द्वारा नागरिक माने जगतीकरण विभिन्न सोपान रे अंशग्रहण करने सहित राष्ट्र विवाद को त्वरित समाधान करिपारिबे। जगतीकरण जुगु बा जगतमय प्रभाव रे विदेशी कंपनी मानक बहुल प्रवेश होउछि एवं घरोईकरण प्रभाव राष्ट्र आर्थिक संस्कार पई सुযোଗ मिलिछि। प्रत्येक राष्ट्र जेतेबेले सेमानकर वार्षिक बजेट और पंचवार्षिक योजना रूपरेख हेउछन्ति सेतेबेले अंतर्जातीय मुद्रा पांठि और विश्व बैंक नियमावली प्रति दृष्टि दिया जाउछि, कारण विश्व बैंक सहायता राष्ट्र विकास कार्य साधित होता है। जगतीकरण जो राष्ट्र वर्तमान प्रचलित विभिन्न व्यवस्थार विचार करुवा दायित्व तुलाउछि। विकसित और पुंजीवादी राष्ट्र मानकर बड़का पुंजी सेमानकर उन्नत वैषयिक और प्रजुक्तिगत ज्ञान कौशल जेतेबेले विकासशील एवं अनुन्नत राष्ट्र मानकर प्राथमिक संपद संयोग हुए सेतेबेले उभयंकर उपयुक्त विनियोग घटे और उभय राष्ट्र मध्य उपकृत होइथांती। राष्ट्र बा सरकार सीधा सड़क डेलीभरी प्रशासन निजक प्रत्याहार करने बेले आर्थिक और सामाजिक क्षेत्र लगी नियंत्रण व्यवस्था आवश्यकता पड़ो। एसहित नागरिक समाज संगठन केन्द्रीभूत स्थानीय संस्था समवाय एनजीओ तथा से अन्य संस्था मान सकाशे आनुष्ठानिक नियमावली जगतीकरण प्रभाव यह परिवर्तन हेबाकू पड़ी। जगतीकरण आशीर्वाद द्वारा प्रत्येक राष्ट्र रे अर्थनैतिक प्रगति हेबा सहित अन्य केतेक आमको क्षति सहबाकू पड़ुछि। कहीं टिके आगु कहली तेलिया मुंडर तेलिया तेल भलिया जो गुड़ाक धनी राष्ट्र से माने अधिक लाभवान हो पारुछन्ति। गरीब राष्ट्र गुड़िक सेमिति किछि लाभवान हो पारु नाहंती। Okay, Unit 10 is over. Unit 10 is over. Have you any question about the Unit 10? 8, 9, 10 is over. 8, 9, 10 unit over. Have you any question? Please ask me. After then, the class will be closed. ଯଦି କାହାର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ଥାଏ ପଚାରନ୍ତୁ। ଆଜିର ବିଷୟ ଆଲୋଚିତ ବିଷୟ ଉପରେ ଯଦି କାହାର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ଥାଏ ପଚାରନ୍ତୁ। ପଢ଼ା ହେଲା ଶୁଣୁଛନ୍ତି ନା ମୋବାଇଲ ଠିକ୍ କୁଆଡ଼େ ପଳାଉଛନ୍ତି? ଓକେ, yes, anyone?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ସମସ୍ତେ ଶୁଣୁଛନ୍ତି ନା ମୋବାଇଲ ଥୋଇ ଦେଇକି ଅନ୍ କରି ପଳାଉଛନ୍ତି?
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ଅଛୁ ପାଠ ପଢୁଛୁ।
It is very long hour, 2 hours. Have you any patience to stay in that near computer or mobile? Okay,
ଦି ଘଣ୍ଟା ସାର୍।
ମୁଁ ଆଶା କରେ କି ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଥିବେ ଏବଂ ପରୀକ୍ଷାରେ ଭଲ ରେଜଲ୍ଟ କରିବେ, ଭଲ ନମ୍ବର ଆଣିବେ। It is not difficult subject, very easy.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
Just ଖାଲି ଆମେ ଟିକେ ଆଇଡ଼ିଆ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବା। You have seen around us every information is political science. ଆମେ ଯାହା ଦେଖୁଛେ ଯାହା ଖବର ଶୁଣୁଛେ ଟିଭିରେ ସେ ସବୁ ରାଜନୀତି ବିଜ୍ଞାନ ଘଟଣା। ଶୁଣିଛି ଡରିବାର କିଛି ନାହିଁ, ରାଜନୀତି ବିଜ୍ଞାନ ବେଶୀ ବଡ଼ ଘଟଣା ନୁହେଁ। ଆମେ ଶୁଣୁଛେ କଥା ହଉଛେ ଏଭ୍ରିଥିଙ୍ଗ ଇଜ୍ ପଲିଟିକ୍ସ। ତ ଲେଖିବାରେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ। ଏଇଟା କ'ଣ ଟିକେ ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଲେବୁଲରେ ଆମେ କଥା ହଉଛେ, ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ୱାର୍ଲଡରେ ଯେଉଁ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ କେମିତି ପରସ୍ପର ସହିତ ପିସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି ବଞ୍ଚାଇବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି, ସେ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ। ଏଇ ବହିଟାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ହେଲା ଆମେ ତୁଳନାତ୍ମକ କରିବା ଅଦର କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ସହିତ ଆମ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିର ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍, social, political and cultural sphere. How can we develop and how to learn the political system from that country? Okay, thank you everyone. Advance happy Teachers Day.
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍, ସେମ୍ ଟୁ ୟୁ।
ଓକେ, ଆସନ୍ତାକାଲି ଟିଚର୍ସ ଡେ ଅଛି। ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ମୋ ତରଫରୁ ଆଶୀର୍ବାଦ। ୟୁ ଡୁ ୱେଲ୍, ୟୁ ମଷ୍ଟ ଡୁ ୱେଲ୍। ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭଲ କରିବେ ଆଉ ଅଧିକ ନମ୍ବର ମୋତେ ଏଇ ପେପରଟାରେ ଆଣିବେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ଓକେ, ତାହେଲେ ଆଜି ପାଇଁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଆମେ ଏଇଠି ସାଙ୍ଗ କରିବୁ। ଆଉ ଥରେ ଇଗ୍ନୁ ତରଫରୁ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ମୁଁ ଦେଉଛି। ଇଗ୍ନୁ ଏକ ପ୍ଲାଟଫର୍ମ ଯେଉଁଟାକି ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ସହଯୋଗ କରିବାରେ ବା ଘରେ ବସିକି ଉଚ୍ଚତର ଶିକ୍ଷା ଗ୍ରହଣ କରିବାରେ ଇଗ୍ନୁ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରୁଛି। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଇଗ୍ନୁ, ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଟୁ ଅଲ୍ ଦ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟସ୍। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ। ଆଡଭାନ୍ସ ହ୍ୟାପି ଟିଚର୍ସ ଡେ। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।